Hey everyone, back tuning into this morning's video. It's Monday at GavsWeatherVids.com, which means only one thing, it's Europe Day. Every Monday at GavsWeatherVids we have a look at the weather for the coming week across the continent, and today is no exception. Now, before I get on with the weekend forecast for Europe, just want to talk about the advertising. There's video ads on my pages at GavsWeatherVids.com. If you press play on the video ad, you'll be supporting GavsWeatherVids.com. Thanks very much for doing that. Also, to say that the website I'm using is wetcentral.de, a wonderful German website. Do check that out. And just really enjoy the video. So we've got a bit of a east-west split going on across the continent this week. We've got high pressure sitting up to the northeast, where it's cold air pooling around the northern and eastern side of that through Scandinavia into northeastern Europe and western Russia. We've also got this deep trough of low pressure, or fairly deep trough of low pressure, out in the Atlantic, and that's bringing up this pretty mild to warm southerly flow, and that's affecting many central and western parts of Europe. So in the northeast it's quite cold. In the south and the west, it really is quite warm. This is shown up quite nicely by the upper air temperatures. There's the cold air pooling through Scandinavia into the northeast Europe and through western Russia. But most of Europe is actually quite mild, bringing up these light southerly winds, the air originating from the central Mediterranean. Really very pleasant indeed, although this low pressure out in the west will be keeping western parts of Europe much more unsettled at times through the course of the coming week. It's time to start using the convective potential charts as well. These, what you need to know with these is that the brighter the colour, the more vibrant the colour. Here's the colour scale just here. The more vibrant the colour, the greater the chance of convection. We see that for Western Europe we have got the risk of some convection today, which basically means lightning and thunder, and that's through Ireland, England and Wales, down into France, through into central parts of Spain, and particularly perhaps focus around Portugal. The rainfall precipitation chart shows that we've got risk of some heavy thundery showers through British Isles and Ireland, stretching down into western parts of France, also going down into central Spain, and very wet potentially around Portugal as well. Some very heavy rain and thunderstorms mixed in there. Elsewhere, mainly dry actually, a few showers perhaps over the mountains of Italy, but really nothing much going on once you go eastwards from France, until you go up into the north and the northeast of Europe through Scandinavia, into northeast Europe and parts of West Russia, where we have got the risk of some snow because it's cold up there. Temperatures barely above freezing up in the far northeast, but most of the continent actually going to be very warm, particularly warm through France, in towards the Low Countries, Belgium, Holland. Yeah, I think you're seeing temperatures at least up to 20 degrees, possibly up to 22, 23 degrees, and going on eastwards into Germany as well. Moving through to the middle of the week, no real change really. The high pressure is still up to the northeast, it's low pressure is out to the Atlantic, and we're still generally bringing up winds from a southerly direction. So it's still very mild, if not warm, through most of Europe through middle of the week, particularly again through these central west areas. And let's look at this, if we go down into the Mediterranean, actually bringing hot air up out of North Africa in towards the Balearic Islands. So a real taste of summer perhaps for the Balearics through the middle of the week, although there could be some thunderstorms. Have a look at that in a moment. Still very cold up in the northeast. Winter firmly holds on through Scandinavia, northeast Europe and western parts of Russia. The convective potential shows again its focus for southern England through middle of the week, perhaps down in towards northern and central parts of France, also through Portugal as well. The rainfall through the middle of the week shows that, again, the showers are in the west, so it's for Ireland, it's for England and Wales, it's for western parts of France, and going down into Spain and Portugal. This western side of Europe could be really very wet, particularly down in the southwest. Again, very little going on further eastwards from France, where there could be some heavy showers breaking out, perhaps across eastern parts of Germany through into southern Poland, and maybe just nudging in towards the Ukraine as well. Also could be some showers or thunderstorms down across Greece, but most of the continent will be dry through the middle of the week. Still risk of some sleet or snow across the far north and northeast. Temperatures still cold up in the north and northeast, again barely above freezing. Warm though for most of Europe through the middle of the week. Temperatures at least up into the mid-teens, if not below 20s. Going to be very nice indeed. And 22 of course is 72 in Fahrenheit. As we go through towards the end of the week, that high pressure is starting to show signs of breaking down over Scandinavia. trying to push weather systems into the west as well, and high pressure is beginning to build up into towards Spain and Portugal, so that just settle things down a little bit up there. Things should start to dry out down in the southwest. This low pressure could turn things more unsettled around Corsica and Sardinia and over towards Italy over the Adriatic in towards the southeast. Have a look at that in a moment. Upper air temperatures quite warm through the end of the week, although it's still cold in far northeast, although that cold air is gradually being pushed back towards western Russia as milder air begins to move in to Scandinavia. The Cape charts, convective potential show we could have some thunderstorms through France and Low Countries in towards western parts of Germany, and possibly with that low pressure down across Italy as well. Rainfall at the end of the week shows we take a band of rain through the North Sea in towards Denmark, down in towards the Low Countries, through in towards France as well. There's that low pressure across Italy, could be bringing some showers or thunderstorms there. There could still be some rain for Portugal, but things are beginning to dry out across Spain and Portugal as that high pressure begins to build in. And then up to the northeast it's mainly dry until we come into some sleet or snow across the far north of Scandinavia and western parts of Russia. Still quite warm at the end of the week, particularly in Central Europe. Temperatures in Germany up to 22 degrees. A little bit cooler perhaps out in the west, but that's still well above average for early April. The far north and northeast still quite cold. I mean, going through to next weekend, we may see things turn more generally unsettled here across the British Isles and Ireland with this area of low pressure moving in, but pressure is building to the south. So through Spain, Portugal, France, we may start to generate a bit of a ridge of high pressure as things turn more unsettled perhaps down into the southeast of Europe. Still quite warm through the weekend, although another cold push is trying to come into the north of Scandinavia. Whether that'll make it, I'm not sure, but generally upper air temperatures showing above average for most of Europe next weekend. Convective potential is mainly in the west, particularly through Germany down in towards France, in towards northern Spain, perhaps down in the southeast around Greece and maybe Cyprus. There could be some thunderstorms down there. Rainfall, there's those thunderstorms down across Greece and Cyprus, perhaps also turning very wet across the British Isles and Ireland, possibly coming into northern parts of France. But really we get an area of high pressure setting up through Spain and Portugal, going through France in towards southern parts of Germany and Italy next weekend. And then the east of Europe is mainly dry, though still the risk of some snow from the far north of Scandinavia and coming down in towards western parts of Russia. Still generally quite warm next weekend. Temperatures may be levelling off a little bit, particularly for Ireland and Britain actually, with that wet and windy weather. Temperatures probably going back towards average 13 or 14 degrees, but really it's very good there for most of the continent. Temperatures way above average still into the low 20s, and even across Scandinavia and western parts of Russia and northeast Europe I think we're slowly seeing signs of those temperatures lifting up. So in summary, we're going to start off quite cold in the northeast, but quite warm for most of the continent, and that's how we're going to keep it through much of the coming week. Actually, the cold air will cling on to the far northeast, but generally temperatures are going to be way above average this week. More unsettled in the west of Europe throughout the week, with areas of rain or thundery showers coming in off the Atlantic, affecting Ireland, Britain, western France, Spain and Portugal. But really from France eastwards, a lot of dry weather through the coming week until perhaps the end of the week, where things could turn a little bit more unsettled. But overall, very nice week for the time of year. Temperatures way above where they should be. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. See you next week.